Alright, so this video is going to be a little bit different when I do the editing process. I wanted to try to, while I play, just kind of, I don't want to say rant, but, you know, talk, you know. Um, it's been a long couple weeks. Work and all of that has just been stupid, to be really honest. We've we've seen a lot and have dealt with a lot. And then the last couple weeks has been, well, actually surprising. Um, and by the end of the video, hopefully, you know, when I am done or when I do get done talking and just kind of, I guess, running my mouth, it'll make a little bit of sense and kind of tie up. Hopefully it will. Just bear with me because I don't have anything wrote down or I didn't really try to write anything down because it's just this is just something that has been something that I've oh wow, we're just right in the middle of this. Okay, cool. It's just been something that it was like, you know what, I'm gonna do. Um, so let's just like right into it. So first off, I wanted to kind of, you know, give everybody that doesn't actually know me kind of a little like who I am. My name is Jonathan. That's my actual first name, uh, and I do use the tag of Toshiro. I mean, I do. That's something that I've used and done for years, and I enjoy my Toshiro tags. 9 times out of 10, you can catch me on anything. So TFK Toshiro is pretty much my I'm gonna die. Pretty much my go-to, my tag. It pretty much is everything. Um, I am, as some of my videos have, and has, some of the things have sparked. I am old. I am a little bit older. I'm
Finch, we're
33 years
stuck
old.
again.
Seriously, but
Um,
I did the
I
thing. It's just this hive
was
tech.
born in
It's so
'89, and I
archaic.
grew up in a
Just give me a
very
sec.
small town. Um, one of those, I don't want to say backwoods, but one of those like everybody knows everybody. It was not ever anything that I enjoyed. Um, because everybody knew
Okay,
my
we're
parents,
getting close to the
everybody knew
swamp
who
now.
I was,
Temple's not far
and
from here.
You
it
said
made
this is
my
a temple to
life,
Oryx?
Yeah,
I don't want to say
that's
harder,
right.
but it made things to where
Savathun's brother,
it just
the
annoyed me.
Taken King
I
himself.
never said
Now be
that to
careful
my
here.
family and my
Something
parents and
happened to
stuff,
this
but
place. It's
I didn't.
overgrown with
My
darkness.
parents are
I
awesome.
can sense light here, though.
They
I
always
just
have
can't
been.
see it.
My parents have always been great. My parents have always been my number one supporter, and so are my grandparents. One of the things that about me that most people find interesting is I was born with one kidney. It made it to where, especially during that time, one thing that most people don't know is that especially back during 90s and stuff like that, people that have that were born with one kidney or that only have one kidney, it's recommended by doctors void all forms of contact sports, just outright, like, don't even try it. I mean, to the point that, like, when you're a kid, you pretty much get told you have to avoid it. If you get hit in the back, you're gonna die. Which, to an extent, yes. If something were to happen just right, uh, right on whichever side the kidney that I have is yes, something, I could, it could, cause it to rupture, cause it to do, and I actually could die. So, to an extent, yes, that is real. But if you take care of and you do, just like a lot of
Looks like we're
players
all
for
clear,
sports
Finch.
and
We're
physical
heading
contact
in.
sports like that, they do now,
Careful.
is there are some that
I
have
guarding
and
this
you
place?
never would even know. The other thing about me, now that I'm dead right now, is I am wow. I am unfortunately, I suffer from dyslexia. Um, Being from the 90s, you even say the words dyslexia. God forbid, a teacher just what back then in the 90s, it was nothing to do with anything like that. It had everything to do with you have ADD. it was you have ADD. And for why did he revive him and not me? Um, which it was proven that I do not actually have ADD. And of course, the teachers that I had, especially one of them, they just didn't want to believe that I didn't have ADD. Um, Claimed that, in school, I was unattentive and a whole bunch of other things. And, well, it was just proven that I do not have ADD. And so, especially like my 5th grade teacher, she was my biggest detractor, I guess. I don't really know. She was not in at all. I was not in her fan club. She did not like me at all. And of course, growing up as a kid, I didn't know what dyslexia was. I didn't even really know how to explain what was wrong and why school was so difficult for me. But when it comes to teachers, back then it was your son has ADD. It was never anything other than just ADD. For those of you who don't know, at this point, I'm gonna try to remember to actually put like like here's how to really like the actual definition of dyslexia, but I'll try to explain it as best I possibly can. I don't want to die. Oh, I don't want to die. I do not want to die. Uh-oh. Bitch. We got a guy now. So dyslexia is considered a learning disability or disorder that involves difficulty reading due to problems identifying speech sounds and learning how to relate to letters and words, decoding. Also called a reading disability, dyslexia is a result of individual differences in areas of the brain that process language. So the easiest way I know to really kind of explain it, when I was in school, and even to this day, because like I said, even to this day, I still, oh no, where's the thing? Where's the ghost? Shit, I don't know where the ghost is. To this day, it's still not something that's easy to explain. Dyslexia, I can't really say it because it's a fun word to say, but it makes your brain, it changes the way you see and perceive things. Anybody with dyslexia will tell you, that it does make, school a lot more difficult for you, which, especially back when I was going to school, again, they never wanted to believe that, there was, anything other than ADD out there in the world. And it wasn't that my parents wanted to believe that. It was the teachers. The easiest way I can, describe or explain is if you put me in a very rushed environment, put me into reading, math, I mean, it could be just about anything. It could be reading, it could be a math problem, or it could be, a assignment dealing with, making sure things are done in a timely manner, as far as, hey, read this paragraph, you have 2 minutes to, read it, get through it, and then, write something on it, write a paragraph on it, or, give a summary of what you read. And it's because you couple it with stress and anxiety of trying to make sure you don't screw up, your brain will read something and or write, and it does it on writing too, because I mean that's one thing that I learned much later on in life, is that you could be writing something and not realize that you write a number or a letter, backwards. And so like you could take the word, like if I didn't know that was the word light blade down there, just because I'm reading it, my brain tells me, yeah, I know it says light blade. However, when I was, if I was in a stressful, high stakes environment like a test or something like that, reading it to make sure that I comprehend it, I would try to read it quickly, and the letters might be jumbled up, or one letter might be in place of another letter. It might the double letters maybe, a double letter could be not a double letter. There's a whole realm of possibilities as far as what you deal with when you're dealing with it. Growing up, I didn't know this. I mean, how as a kid are you supposed to know to tell your mom and your dad, or tell, a teacher, look, I'm not comprehending it because the letters don't line up sometimes. Well, you know, it made it hard to succeed. So couple, being born one kidney, school not being the easiest thing in the world because I have, this problem that I can't explain. It made it to where things weren't easy in school. On top of everything, I was one that, people chose to, pick on. I was bullied. Another big taboo word that nobody wants to believe is real. Um, Bullying in schools is real. I mean, from, you name it, books hit out of your hands to, people running into you on purpose,
Cabal forces are entrenched out
it
here.
happens.
You're in
And
for a hell of a
I know
firefight
that
before we can breach
people
their
don't want to
defenses.
believe that,
Those command carriers are
the
likely to
words
send
that
reinforcements,
always
but
used
I'll
to
try to
hear,
draw their air
boys will be
support away.
boys.
Clear
Boys
the
will be
field.
boys.
That should buy me enough
I
time
never,
to take down the barrier
I never
that's
did
blocking the way
anything to
forward.
any of the ones that I went to school with for them to choose me out of everybody, And to this day, I I graduated 2007. I still can't stand going home. I got asked if I was going to my 10-year high school reunion, a couple years ago, and I laughed. I was like, no. I was like, that's not happening. I won't be doing that. I have no desire to go back and deal with or speak to or any of that with the people that I grew up with. I can't tell you the last person I spoke to that I grew up with, Most of my friends are guys that I've met since I moved, since I got out of the area that I lived in, and then my mom and dad still live in to this day. Even growing up in church and stuff, the same people that, I dealt with in school were going to the church that I went to, and they'd put on a nice little smile because their mommy and daddy are right there, but then come Monday morning, I'm back to the same routine, getting bullied left and right, made me a guy that, I kept to myself. The one thing that I always did, like I've played video games my entire life, not being able to play most sports, and not being able to, well, not being able to actually relate to the people you grow up with. It pushes you to things that, I got squished. That was cool. Pushes you to things that, most people find weird and abnormal. Started looking to, superheroes, movies, games, this and that. The earliest system I can remember playing, the earliest that I remember playing was probably a Nintendo. I did have an NES. The one that I remember playing the most, though, was I had a Sega Genesis. So I wasn't a jock. I was a game nerd, and on top of everything, it made it to where I tried to be, I tried to keep things like that. But I went and I looked up to heroes. People don't like talking about that they kept up with. For instance, like they watch anime. Anybody that watches anime are a bunch of weird nerds that, this, that, the other. I enjoy anime. I don't find myself weird. I hold a normal job that I may not like, but I still work for a living. Do I go around and try to say everybody that, everybody likes this or that? No. Because there are some things that are not for some people. There are some, you don't like anime, that's on you. You do like anime, guess what? More power to you. It's on you as well. The other thing I grew up with, and I think a lot of people in my, the time that I grew up, that most of them don't admit to, I grew up with Power Rangers, man. Like, I was a huge Power Ranger fan. And so, like, the last, month or so was just absolutely horrible because, I mean, Jason David Frank, passing away, and, that's actually a huge blow to my childhood. He
Barriers
was,
down.
he was a
Get a move on.
big,
Be
big
careful.
hero
The
of mine.
Cabal got sloppy. Vex had
The
moved in
the
behind them.
idea of
Watch your back
the
or you'll
bad
get caught in
guy
the
comes
crossfire.
in, they struggle, and then the good guy wins. That was always, it was like there's always something that the good guy can do to win, no matter what. Like, and that's why I think I myself was drawn to shows like that. The idea that, good can prevail even in the darkest of times. And so it made me look towards, a better, future for myself. Because, I mean, being bullied and all of that, it was just shit, man. I mean, it really was. Anybody that is,
The Imperial commander
you
should
know
be up
what
ahead.
it does to
Give
your
'em what
mindset.
for. Kindly remind them they don't belong on Europa.
Anybody
I'd
that
skip
deals
the
with
kindly
it,
part.
they know. They know what it feels like to be bullied. They know what it does to your mind, your body. They know what it does. Um, I mean, and it didn't just stop, in elementary school. I mean, it was all through high school. My senior year, mom and dad finally, like, when I started driving at ninth grade or 10th grade or whatever year it was, I drove the same car from the time I started driving till I was a senior. I drove, and again, probably going to try to use video editing Jonathan to show it, but I drove a 1995 Toyota Tercel. It is basically the equivalent of nowadays would be considered the, what is it? It would be the Prius, because at least the Prius is a hybrid. The Tercel was like, I can't think of what the name of the thing is that the Prius, or that took its place. Like, I really can't think of the name of it. But it was this little bitty, just horribly bad, nobody wanted to be in type car. And, oh man, I didn't get to use my super. That sucks.
Great work down there,
And
Guardian.
it
Now come
it
on
was
back
just
and warm
a
up.
Hey, do
just
we
a
have
little
cocoa?
bitty,
Is that
just
a thing we got? I'll
small,
put on some water.
I mean, very, very, very small car that, I mean, looking back, I mean, gas mileage nowadays, oh my gosh, I filled it up for $20, and guess what? I could go forever, it felt like. I could go a whole month on $20 in gas. But my senior year, mom and dad, finally said, hey, we're going to do something. And I said, okay. And they said, since you're finally graduating and you're finally, getting out of high school, they're like, look, you know, we want to look and see if we can't get you another car. Which, I mean, anybody in my position, teenage wise, would have been like, you're gonna get a new car? Oh, awesome, let's go. Like right after Christmas, um, they asked what I wanted, and they said that they would, think about looking at it. And I said, cool. I said, I would really like a Mustang. I was like, it doesn't have to be brand new, obviously. I knew what, I didn't know, but I did, if that makes sense, what the financial situation of my family was. We were not, we were not poor. We were at that point of, we had enough, if that makes sense. We had enough to say that we had a roof over our head, we had food on our table, but we didn't have enough to say that we went like out every weekend, or we didn't go to the movies, or we didn't eat out a lot, like, because we really did not eat out a lot. The most we would do is every so often we may go to like an Applebee's and eat out, after going to church one Sunday night. But beyond that, it was, you know after school, you're at the house, you eat at the house, and that was it. So I knew, and when they asked and they said, hey, we want to do this, I just said a Mustang. It doesn't have to be new. I really like the Mustangs. Mom and Dad went out of their way, and I got what was the first new car that anybody in the family ever had, or in my side of the family.
Greetings, Captain.
Obviously,
Commander Zavala has
grandparents and
requested
stuff
that
like
I run
that that
tactical
actually
on
had
this
money
mission.
and
Please
whatnot.
allow me to help you with your
It was
invasion of
first
the inside
new car
terminus.
that my family
Oh,
had ever
hello,
actually had
Failsafe.
that I
What
know
can you
of.
tell us about this terminus?
I have not
And I
detected
loved it.
significant Vex
I mean,
activity
it
in
was
that area
five
since shortly
speed.
after the
Oh
Exodus
God,
Black arrived.
5-speed. It
Well,
was
that's
red,
good news.
unfortunately.
Maybe we won't run into much resistance.
And I mean, I enjoyed my car.
Yeah, but
I
since
really
death
did.
kind of
I remember the
Positive as
first
ever, I
day
see.
that I had the car, though. I had to learn how to drive it, which that was the deal. Mom told me, either you learn to drive the car or you're going to drive my car and I'm going to drive it. Well, I quickly learned how to drive a 5-speed. I quickly learned how to drive a standard. Like, boy, did it take me a little bit. It took me about 2-3 weeks, but I definitely learned how to drive it, And so my first day driving it, I was proud of my car. Senior year, new car. I'm no longer in the little shitty turtle that I used to drive. Like I was excited. Well, I got to school, went to school that whole day, went to class that whole day, and went to leave, and to show you how bad things were as far as being bullied, I got in the car and somebody had actually spit, like hocked a loogie, whatever you want to call it, on my driver window, in the dead middle of my driver window. And it irritated me, it upset me. But I didn't ever say anything. I already dealt with enough. Mom and Dad already dealt with enough. They already had enough on their plates with their work and stuff like that. That I never said anything. I got it cleaned off, never said anything. Fast forward,
Maybe if we catch
get
him,
into
we can
college,
give Kate a
and
lesson or two.
still dealing with everything else. And as soon as I got the chance, man, I moved out. I moved out of the town. I could have easily been just another statistic when I was in high school. I could have easily been another statistic. The statistic of, he dealt with a lot and, killed myself, committed suicide. I could have easily.
Excellent work, Captain. You are at 50%
I chose not to.
completion of this task.
I chose that, yeah, I may have been dealing with a lot, but I knew that at the end of the day, just like in all of the shows that I loved as a kid and stuff like that, that, good can come out of, good things can happen. And they do, they do all the time, man. And like, I have so many other stories that I could tell you just of how, how bad things have been, and at the same time, like I said, now, I work full time. I have a job, though I have, issues, and I have, I do have dyslexia, and I still deal with it. I work full time. I may not like my job, but there are some people out there that don't even have a job. There are some people out there that, nowadays can't even really get a job. So, I mean, there's nothing that I can really complain about as far as, that, side of life, If there's ever a time, and the one thing that people miss out on is they think that nobody is listening, and they think that nobody wants to listen. That's the biggest thing when dealing with anybody that's ever been bullied, or anybody that's ever been taken advantage of, that kind of thing. The first thought, especially when I was growing up, was I'm being bullied, but nobody cares. And that's not true. There are people that do want to hear you. There are people that do want to listen. and there are actually good people. I know it doesn't feel like it, but there are people that want to know your story and want to hear your story. I know that it doesn't feel like that there is, because I mean it doesn't. I've been there. You know, you don't believe that there can be somebody that actually wants to know who you are, wants to know what you've been through, why, you know, but there is. There's always somebody
I injected
that
some
would
bad
rather you
variables
talk
into
to
its
them
decryption process.
than
That should
your
slow
light
you down.
not being in this world. Believe me, I've had some pretty rough things at times in life. I mean, I really did. Very bad relationships ending badly, super badly sometimes. You know, that fiance walks out, on you. You know, I mean, there are things that, you know, it could have easily ended. I could have easily just said, no, I'm done dealing with this. Like I'm done
pretty
with
sure he
dealing with it.
realizes we're not going to let him get away with stealing the data while we're here.
But I
You are
chose
correct,
because
friendly
I had,
A massive
friends,
buildup of
people
energy
that
indicates
I
several
learned
Cabal
that,
transports are
actually
inbound to your
cared,
position.
you know,
You
and
asked.
sometimes all it requires is just one person to hear you out.
Location secured,
And
Commander Zavala.
if you ever, anybody
What
that
intel did you
listens to
discover?
this, if you ever feel as though
There's only one data artifact here,
that
labeled
nobody wants to
Oxa,
listen, nobody
and
wants
it's
to hear,
seriously corrupted.
I can
Metadata
say
says it was last accessed by an Oxod
I'm
centuries ago.
more than happy.
What is Oxod?
I can
And
give
who
you
is Oxot?
I can give you the Discord if you want me
Those are
to,
questions for another day,
and
I suppose.
we can
But
chat
for now,
in Discord, in my Discord
well
chat,
done.
privately in Discord, that kind of thing, Um, don't ever, don't ever not reach out for somebody if it's ever needed. Seriously, don't ever not reach out if it's, not something or something that's needed. That's the one thing that I can say is find somebody who wants to hear your story.